So I have with me here a piece of vellum cardstock that measures 14.5 by 13 centimeters, and then I've gone ahead and I've scored that at the 10.5 centimeter mark. Now I've got my embossing buddy here because we're just going to do some heat embossing, and I'm rubbing that entirely over my piece of vellum. Now the stamp set we're going to be using today is from the Rose Wonder stamp set. I've got the large rose here, and I'm going to ink this up using my Versamarker ink. Now as this is such a large stamp, I do find it a lot easier to have that stamp upside down placed onto your surface there, and then inking it up with my Versamarker ink. Now I'm actually going to stamp this in the top left hand corner. If you prefer, you can also stamp this in the bottom right hand corner. So you probably can't really see that there, but I'm also going to stamp my greeting, and our greeting comes from the exact same stamp set, and there's multiple different greetings there that you can choose from, but I've selected the happy birthday greeting here. And you'll be able to see vaguely the Versamarker ink for you to actually be able to do that. So that will be fine. Next, I am going to cover this in white embossing powder, and then we're going to heat set that until it melts. When we're doing heat embossing on vellum, you need to be careful that you're not going to warp the paper, as it is a bit thinner than the cardstock that you would normally use. So the easiest way I find to do this is make sure that your heat tool is hot to begin with. So leave it on the side for a minute, warm it up, heat it up, and then gradually bring it in. And as you'll notice here that I'm actually doing this in small bursts. So I'm coming in with my heat tool, and then I'm moving it away, and then I'm coming in again, and then I'm moving it away. This is going to help prevent my vellum from actually warping and buckling. Now it's time to colour. So I'm going to use Stampin' Write markers here. I've got my Rose Wonder and my Old Olive. I've also got some paper towel, my clear Winker of Stella pen, and also a dry cloth. Starting with my Rose Red Stampin' Write marker and using the brush tip, I'm going to apply a little bit of colour like I would if I was using my Stampin' Write markers and doing a watercolour technique. So I just apply it to the base of my petal here, and then using my Winker Stella pen, I am dragging that colour up to the top of that petal. And this is the exact same technique that you would use if you were using your aqua painters or blender pen to blend your Stampin' Write markers out. So I'm working one petal at a time, and you'll also notice that I am brushing off some colour onto my paper towel there. Now this is if I get a little bit too much excess colour, then I'm just wiping it off onto my paper towel before I start again. Now the other trick here is to move around the thing, because you don't want your hand to get in on top of it and then smudging it and bleeding across the rest of your project. So just be careful that your project is dry as you blend together. Same principle as watercoloring. You don't try and watercolor your petals together because you don't want them to blend and get messy together. So this is the exact same principle that we are applying here. Now the other thing too here you'll notice is because we're working on a vellum, and vellum, the ink doesn't dry as fast. This then gives us the opportunity that we can then use our Winker Stella and move that colour around. Now once again, if you've got too much excess colour, you'll see that I am using a dry cloth here, and that's just to blot and move some of the colour if I've got way too much there, and that gives you another starting point as well. So just remember too that your vellum will take a while to dry because we're using our Stampin' Write markers on here, and it's not as quick drying as what your StazOn ink would be. So gradually let's go into our petal here, into the center of our flower, and as you can see I'm just picking up that color straight out of the center and blending that all the way around the inner parts of our flower. So the other thing too, while using our Winker Stella and especially our clear pen here, is they're going to add a really nice bit of shine to our project here. I'm loving these Winker Stella pens. They're so easy to use, and they are the easy way to add some quick shine and shimmer to your project. So next we're going to start by colouring our leaves, and I'm using here my old olive Stamp and Write marker, and once again using our brush tip I'm applying a little bit of colour to the edge of my leaf, on the inner leaf, and then using my wink Stella to blend that colour out to the rest of my leaf. Now I'm just going to continue doing this exactly the same ways as we've been doing our petals all the way until the end. Now because our leaves are really close together, you may want to do this leaf first and then do the one on the opposite side so you have time to wait for them to dry for you to then finish painting your leaves. Now the other thing too you can is once this has been finished colouring, you can either then run a heat tool over it on the number 1 setting to dry this off quicker, or you can set it aside and let it dry, which is what I have done. So you'll notice that you've got some ink on the end of your wink Stella pen, which we need to clean off so that it runs clear again. So we're simply going to do that on our scrap piece of paper here or our grid paper, and just run that back and forth, rolling it on the side until that runs clear. You'll do that exactly the same way as you will clean your blender pen or your aqua painter after you've watercoloured. Now here's our project once it's finished drying or nice and shiny. And then next you're going to need your card base, and I've got a piece here of pink purette that I have cut at 21 by 14.5 centimeters, and then I folded it and scored it at 10.5 centimeter mark. Now because we want to stick this over the top, I am just from my score line taking a very slight triangle of that back end piece that we have previously cut. And this is going to sit just over the top of our pink purette cardstock and fold it down like so. So to stick this down, I'm actually going to use some tear tape. You can use your fast fuse or your snail adhesive, whichever adhesive you prefer to do. I've just decided to use tear tape today. And then I'm simply just going to peel off the back here, and I am going to line this up and stick this to the front of my pink purette card base. So you can see what that looks like now, and then we've got this vellum piece that you can lift up. Now on the back you can see the vellum, but that doesn't seem to bother me. But if you don't like it, you can always add another piece of cardstock to the back to actually hide that, but that doesn't bother me at this moment. So I've also got one here where I've stamped the image in the bottom right hand corner and put my green on the left. So it's entirely up to you which way you want to do this. So this is just another way that you can stamp and create this image. Thanks for watching.